Good morning. It's not even morning, and I'm 1 minute late. I'm so sorry. I'm playing hurt today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The 23rd consecutive live stream. It's not without its challenges today. Let me just say that. I feel terrible. Since Sunday, I've been dealing with some issues. Just got a text. Things really fell apart yesterday night. I was editing and I'd made a YouTube video. I'd done a podcast and then I made a video on YouTube, and I was just starting to feel terrible, and now I'm a mess. I didn't get sleep right. I'm all off on my schedule. If I wipe my nose or if I cough or something, I just apologize now. And please forgive me. But, I said I was going to do something. I said I was going to podcast for 30 days in a row, and I was going to see what happens. Well, not much has happened. In fact, yesterday, last night in the statistics, I think I had 100 impressions yesterday from my video and my live stream. It's not good enough. Not good enough. So, is it a good idea to be in this situation? I don't know. I'm going to cough. I'm going to sneeze. I mean, that's just all there is to it. So, what did I hope to gain with my streaming daily? Well, I hope to pick up some subscribers. I hoped to pick up some view time. Have I done those things? Not really. Not really. It's pretty much just me screaming out in the wilderness. Does that mean there's not an audience for a real estate live stream? I don't know. I forgot what did someone call me? Like, I'm the worst YouTuber. That was like 2 days ago. It's hard to believe I'm the worst. Here we go. We start now. I'm going to have to wipe my nose. Ugh. I have to remember to throw that down. I had Kleenex, but I forgot to bring them down. So it is what it is. I need to check on something. I thought I had everything in order, but I'm seeing now that there's something that's not in order. So let me go back, and let's hope the microphone doesn't flip out like it did the one time. Part of me feels like I hit the wrong button, which is kind of embarrassing. Let me check here. Yeah. So now I'm on my Monday morning live stream. I want to be on that one. I'm going to try and switch. All right. Well, anyway, I should be on there. I am recording. It is a Monday morning live stream. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why that's screwed up. I'm just blown away by it. Now I'm starting to sweat. This is going great. Anyway, I guess what we're going to do today is just get better at live streaming. Nothing else. Nobody else coming. let's go over some of the things. So yesterday I tweeted that I wrote an offer on a house, and I did write an offer on a house. A response was due by 2 today. Early this morning, I got notification they were going to send me a counter. Sent me a counter, looked it over with my buyer, and we countered. I hope we get the house. In this market, should you be negotiating heavily? I don't know. I had to negotiate this. I feel like this was the right thing to do. I don't know. I'm in a spot with my buyer. I mean, we can only do so much. And I'm sure the sellers feel like they're in the same position. So, who knows what's going to happen? I guess I could check my email. But I suspect I'll know something a little later. So runny nose, cough, watery eyes, can't sleep. I have my notes. I'll go over my notes. This is terrible. But it is what it is. 23. I need 7 more, and I've got my entire 30 live streams. Now, these errors aren't helping. I mean, who's going to find my stream now? There's 2 of them at the same time, and one's not working. I guess they'll figure it out. But this has happened more than once. This is the 3rd time I can remember it happening, and it's awkward and it's irritating. Well, let's talk about the stream, though. Why do I do it when nobody's watching? I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of things to say. I feel like I can say them in a way that won't get me kicked off YouTube. I don't know that for a fact, but do you believe, like, if you're a real estate person, do you believe that the business has been good to you? Do you believe everything that you've read has been true in real estate all of your life? I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I mean, it's just amazing the difference between like what you read and like fact. It just is. So it's kind of fun to watch, and the market, the business has changed. Sometimes for the good, sometimes maybe not so much, but let's just go for the good. So I wrote an offer. We were able to use DocuSign. Lady was able, my buyer was able to go to work, and no disturbance. You need to get a check. We were able to send a picture of the check. Good stuff. Good stuff. I've always said on the podcast, on the live streams, that I prefer to meet people in person because I don't hear very well on the phone. I never have been able to hear the way I think I should be able to on the phone. And then as I've gotten older, I'm starting to not hear like some of the other things. I don't think my hearing is going out. It's just I can't hear certain things. I can't differentiate anymore different sounds. But I always like to meet people in person. And one thing that the pandemic has caused is this, who do you invite to your home? Who do you talk to when you're out, out in public? And then, what's the best way to treat each person? And maybe I'm wrong, but I just like to treat people the same way I did before all this started. I like to meet people and hear what their goals are, their aspirations are. I think that when you buy a home, it's tremendously... it's an aspirational purchase for the most part. I mean, when you're buying a home, you're saying things are so good right now in my life that I'm gonna settle down here. I'm gonna have a new baby. I'm gonna get a new job. I'm going to. I met somebody, and we're gonna put down. We're gonna sit here, and we're gonna. This is gonna be ours. And then when I read that other article from, I think it's Vox, how owning real estate turns you into a different person that you may not like because you start fighting for your community, start fighting for where you live, instead of letting outsiders dictate policy to you. I was surprised by that because it takes something very, very optimistic, and that is a life-changing event, a positive one, and it turns it into a negative. Now, should everyone own a home? No, I think that in the 2000s, the mid 2000s, the idea that we should all own homes was a bad idea. And even as I show houses, or even as I list houses, some of the houses are terrible, and the people that sold them needed to have sold them many, many years before because they couldn't take care of it. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. I think that that the home buying process is a good one, and that I like to meet people during the process. I also like to meet people on the selling side. I often wonder, how someone else would do it, because you really don't get that chance to find out. All you know is that you got the listing or you didn't. So if they meet with like 4 other people and they liked you the best, that's great. But if they didn't, then you're not in good shape. But you don't know why. I always thought it was interesting. So let's say you're the 3rd person in line on a listing call, and you go and you have a good rapport with the people, but they choose someone else. I always thought, hey, can I call the person and ask them, why they didn't choose me? But 2 things came out of that. 1, do you think they're going to be honest with you? Number 2, there's this idea that you'd be going behind the sign because they've already listed with someone else. So you're not allowed to really contact them. The rules in real estate have bitten me in the behind a number of times. I'll never forget, it was a friend of mine, his parents were going to sell their home. And they were moving literally like across the street, okay? And they didn't need a realtor for the move across the street, although they probably should have gotten one. Anyway, when they went to sell their house, they said, how much are you going to list it for? And I said, I don't know. Let's sit and talk about it. Well, the husband got an eye problem where he went blind in one eye, and he was dealing with health issues. And so I never really got a chance to talk to him. And then they listed with somebody else. They listed it with a flat fee broker for like $500, put you in the MLS. And so now I can't talk to them because they've got it listed with another broker. And so it was awkward. And then they didn't sell it because it was priced too high. And then instead of choosing me after that, they went with somebody else, and that person did end up selling it. But why didn't you choose me? Like, what did I do wrong? I thought we were pretty good. They were good people. I mean, why would you choose some random? Didn't make any sense to me. But this is the kind of thing you deal with a lot in real estate. There's a lot of disappointment, at least in my business. Maybe others have had resounding success and everything's always perfect. I told you this week about losing that listing, or losing that representation for a buyer who is going to get really just taken advantage of by a seller that's totally unscrupulous. But like, what am I going to do about it? Nothing. You say, well, John, you're biased. You don't know what you're talking about. You're biased. There's so much to learn about real estate and sales and how to get somewhere right, that if you're not doing it, on a daily basis, it's not easy. I know you think it is, but it's not. And so, how I've tried to set up my business is just, I will help you. I will help you. If you're looking for assistance in purchasing a home, let me help you. If you're looking for assistance in selling your home, let me help you. I haven't ever made it, I'll get the most for your house ever, because I think that's predicated on a lie. How do we know that you'll get the most ever? You say, well, statistics, John. You're going to have these statistics, and the statistics are going to show that when I list houses, I get more for the houses than other people. Okay, well, how do you do that? Well, I'm not going to tell anybody this, but I list the houses for way less than what they're worth, and then everything gets bid over the asking, and so I look brilliant on a piece of paper. Average public person doesn't get that far to know those things. And so, I've always just tried to bring some sort of level of being real. Like, it's the same thing with the live stream. It's the same thing with the podcast. It's like, could I edit all that stuff? Yes. Could I have a nice slick video? Yes. I'm not going to get hair in the videos. That's gone. But I'm trying to bring a level of real. Is it appreciated? I don't think so sometimes. Based on my comments, based on the views. I don't know. So anyway, that's that. That's that. I want to move over to the Google Trends. For this morning, it was the winter solstice. It had more than 1 million searches, and I kind of wanted to go over that. I don't know enough about it to know, so I'm just going to read along with you. It says, in meteorology, it says, this is from NASA's blog, December solstice brings winter-summer seasons. In meteorology, Earth's winter season for the northern hemisphere and summer season for the southern hemisphere began on December 1st, 2021. However, the December solstice brings in the astronomical winter and summer seasons, respectively, for the two hemispheres of our planet. This will happen on December 21st, so today, at 15:59, which is 9:59 a.m. Central Time in the United States. Okay, so the astronomical winter and summer seasons for the two hemispheres of our planets happened this morning at 9:59. Solstices come twice a year. For the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice occurs around June 20th to 21st, and the winter solstice happens around December 21st to December 22nd. At the solstice, the sun's path appears furthest north or south, depending on which half of the planet you're on. Seasons change on Earth because the planet is slightly tilted on its axis as it travels around the sun. Earth's axis may be imagined as an imaginary pole going right through the center of our planet from the top to the bottom. Earth spins around this pole, making one complete turn each day. That is why we have day and night. Although the tilt of the Earth as compared to the plane of its orbit around the sun is more or less constant, at the December solstice, the northern hemisphere receives the most indirect sunlight, causing cooler temperatures. The southern hemisphere receives the most direct sunlight, causing warmer temperatures, so it's summer there. At the June solstice, this effect reverses, and the northern hemisphere receives the most direct sunlight, causing warmer temperatures, and the southern hemisphere receives the most indirect sunlight, causing cooler temperatures. The December solstice brings the shortest day and the longest night of the year for locations in the northern half of the globe. Like in the U.S., while the southern half of the globe is experiencing its longest day and shortest night. Let me do that again. Like the U.S., while the southern half of the globe is experiencing its longest day and shortest night. So we're on the shortest day and the longest night. Therefore, all locations north of the equator see daylight shorter than 12 hours, and all locations see daylight longer than 12 hours. After the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the days will get longer and the nights shorter until the summer solstice on June 21st, 2022. Then things reverse. The March equinox on March 20th will mark the beginning of the astronomical spring season, and the September equinox on September 20th, 22nd, 2022 will mark the beginning of the astronomical fall. The ancient cultures knew that the sun's paths across the sky, length of daylight, and location of the sunrise and sunset all shifted in a regular way throughout the year. Additionally, people built monuments like Stonehenge in England and the Torreon in Machu Picchu to follow the sun's annual progress and predict its movements. Today we have even more information about the universe, and we celebrate the solstice as an astronomical event caused by the Earth's tilt on its axis and its motion in orbit around the sun. No matter where you are on Earth's globe, this is your time to celebrate the Earth's change. So shorter days, longer nights, and from today on, it'll start being longer days and shorter nights until we get to June, which will be the longest day and shortest night. I mean, it's pretty wild to be outside and at 5 o'clock and it'll be pitch black. Don't you think? Oh, just got it. I gotta check this. Okay. All right, they rejected that. Ooh. Okay, so I sent that. So anyway, where are we at? So what do you think? Showing houses when it's dark is just bizarre. When it's 6 o'clock, people get off work and they're like, "Let's go look at a house," and I'm happy to do it. But you almost always have to schedule another showing. But then in the winter, less people want to see the house anyway. So I don't know. So I'm going to change things up today a little bit. I wanted. We talked about buyer love letters the other day. And go this way here, and I'm firmly against this idea that buyers love letters are wrong. Because I believe that if there's any sort of discrimination taking place, it's able to be taken place without the buyer love letter. That the buyer love letter isn't the reason for the discrimination occurring. It is not the cause of the discrimination occurring. It is not a result of discrimination. It is nothing to do with discrimination. If someone's heart, if a seller's heart is discriminatory in any way, there's no amount of letter or anything that's going to stop that person from being that way. This is my opinion. So the New York Times wrote about it, and I got into a weird thing where I went to the New York Times, and it didn't work out. The way the the way the setup online is, it let me read the article, and then it booted me. So I just copied the article and I put it on a piece of paper. Now, it's not going to be fun for you so much because I'm going to read it, but we're going to go over it like as I read it. I'm not going to be able to pull up the screen, but let's just see how it goes. Like I said, we're trying different things. It says when Dashni Jarathi was shopping for a home in Berkeley, California last spring, the market was at a fever pitch. Most homes in the area were receiving multiple offers, sometimes a dozen or more, and many were selling as much as 50% over the asking price. That makes sense. So when Mrs. Jarathi and her husband found a home they wanted to make an offer on, they did what many others do. They wrote a letter to the seller gushing about the house and introducing themselves. Notes like that, known as love letters, have been common in real estate for decades. It's true. But their use has increased over the past year or two in the midst of a pandemic real estate boom in which 74.5% homes nationwide had multiple offers at the market's peak. So I don't understand how they know that there's been more letters written now, or that has been increased over the year. There's no statistical data that shows that. They just write it in there like we should believe it. In April 2021, according to data from Redfin, In October, the most recent month for which data are available, the number was still very high, about 60%. The market was so crazy, we felt like anything that gave you a sense it was meritocratic or gave you a sense of control, like maybe if I write a good letter, I'll have a shot, was worth trying, said the Mrs. Jarethy, who works for a technology company. We have to stand out in a pile of offers. I think that's true. The market was so crazy last spring when they were looking for a home in Northern California, she said, that anything that gives you a sense of control, like if I, oh my gosh. Anyway, that was doubled. I don't know why. Although there's no data on how many offers include personal letters from hopeful buyers, real estate agents say the practice is widespread. So widespread, in fact, that it has inspired a cottage industry. On Etsy, you can choose from dozens of home proposal templates in a range of styles, from boho chic to rustic, with prompts for introducing family members and slots for photos. So that's kind of cool. Many agents say that well-written love letters can help buyers stand out, particularly when there are similar offers in a bidding war. It can be the decision maker to sway a seller. Real estate in Austin, Texas, I do think helps. So let's clear up one thing that I think people get wrong about buyers' love letters, and that is, let's assume that there's 3 offers for $100,000 on a home. Okay, one of the letters, one of the houses has one of the buyers has a letter with their offer, the other 2 don't. What are the chances that the seller is going to pick, of the 3 offers that do the exact same terms, the house with the buyer's letter? Well, if it's written well, 100%. The problem comes when people don't understand the motivations for the sellers. It's not always the bottom line. So what happens when someone wrote, say there were 3 offers on a property, one was for $150,000, one was for $160,000, and one was for $140,000. But the $140,000 had the best letter with it. Could they beat the person with the $160,000 offer? Yes. Does that make the person that offered $160,000 for it with no letter angry? Yes. But some people aren't swayed by the bottom line. Some people want their home to go to someone who's going to take care of it, or at least they say they're going to take care of it. You think that the buyer's letters are, there's some sort of law that they must be factual. Have I got some news for you? Anyway, but last year, this is in the article again, the National Association of Realtors issued a warning about the practice, cautioning that it may make sellers and agents vulnerable to accusations of discrimination. Now, understand we're real estate agents, so we're accused of being dogs, essentially, every day. So the fact that we'd be accused of something else is not really all that scary to me. As love letters often disclose personal details that can reveal the buyer's family status, religion, sexual orientation, of race, all protected statuses under fair housing laws. Now, how bad is it that the National Association has issued a warning about the practice of love letters when they haven't taken into account the fact that people can go on Google, they can go on Facebook, they can go on Twitter, they can go on Instagram and find out instantly about the buyer or the seller? It says the Fair Housing Act prevents landlords, banks, real estate agents, and anyone else involved in leasing or selling homes from discriminating on the basis of race, sex, disability status, religion, national origin, or familial status. States like California recognize additional protected categories, including occupation and gender expression. You know, I'm just going to be honest with you. When I work as a real estate agent, I don't care about anybody's issues. Like whatever they have going on is fine with me. And I don't mean issues in like, there's something wrong with them. All I care about is, am I working with a person that I can trust? Am I working with a good person here that we can come together and make a good deal for someone? Or is a person a jerk and then I don't want to work with them? And this year, the state of Oregon took it a step further, passing legislation banning such letters. Starting in January 2022, it will be illegal for the seller's agent to pass a love letter along to a client in Oregon. Now, to me, think about this. We are to pass offers to from the buyer to the seller immediately. Now we're supposed to edit what we send to the seller? You're representing the seller. The seller believes in you. They say, did you get any information from the buyer? In Oregon, you say, yes, I got information, but I can't give it to you because if I forward it, I'm going to lose my license. Now, how stupid is that in practice? What is going to make your seller trust you when you're hiding information from them and they know it? Mark Meek, this guy that really has no clue about real estate at all, said the idea emerged from his own experience as a real estate agent, observing the disparity of home ownership amongst racial groups. And I'd like to know how he did as a real estate agent. I'd like to know how many deals he ever did, if he did it full time. In 2019, he said the rate of white home ownership in Oregon was 65%, compared with 35% for black residents and 40% for Hispanic residents. Whoever is the successful bidder of a home should be based on the qualification of the offer, not the preference of that seller. That's your opinion. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. Sellers should be able to sell it to anybody that they want to at any price. How in the world does it say not the preference of that seller? Can you imagine? You're not even allowed to sell something in the United States. You're not even allowed to sell your home in the United States the way you want to. You need to go ahead and because Mark Meek, a state representative in Oregon, decided that you shouldn't be able to do that. Now that's the rule in Oregon. It's stupid. Should be embarrassed. Ms. Jayathari, the Berkeley buyer, said she had mixed feelings about writing a love letter. Her real estate agent told her to focus on what she liked about the house rather than talking about her family, but she did briefly introduce herself, her husband, and their 4-year-old daughter, Selma. And regardless of what she mentioned, she said, when someone looks at my name, they know I'm a person of color. Don't care. The home in question sold in a bidding war to another buyer who made a higher offer. A few weeks later, Ms. Jayathari made another offer on a Tudor style in Oakland. When she inquired about writing a letter, she learned that the seller was not accepting letters from potential buyers. Mrs. Jayathari and her husband eventually bought the house, offering about $500,000 over the asking price. The market is insane. So do love letters lead to discrimination? There isn't much hard evidence one way or the other. But according to the National Association of Realtors, it has been a concern of agents for years, although there has yet to be a lawsuit challenging the seller or a real estate agent on discrimination based on a love letter. Real estate lawyers say it would be nearly impossible to prove or prosecute through legal channels. So now we're writing a law that can't be prosecuted and doesn't benefit anyone. The new Oregon law, Mr. Meek said, is based on the potential for discrimination rather than concrete examples of it happening in the state. Now, you are a real estate agent, Mr. Meek. How is it that you don't understand how this works? We're going to do a new law because of the potential for discrimination. So it's a joke. Daniel Ortner, a lawyer with the Pacific Legal Foundation, is among those skeptical of the new law. Mr. Ortner has filed a lawsuit to halt the ban on behalf of the Total Real Estate Group in Bend, Oregon, claiming it violates free speech. It does. I have to cough. I'm sorry about that. While housing discrimination is a real problem, these letters convey accurate, truthful information that is helpful to the seller. The idea that they can lead to discrimination is speculation on speculation, noting that more often than not, the letters might convince the seller to go with a slightly lower offer if it came from a buyer who will use and cherish the house. Carrie Field, a real estate in Los Angeles, said she has homes that receive as many as 60 offers, but the competition usually comes down to 2 or 3 of the highest offers, and that's where the love letters can tip the balance. This is true. This woman, I believe she's a woman. Yeah, it says she. She knows what's up. She's in the business. This other guy, Mr. Meek, couldn't make it as a real estate agent, so he's probably bitter about the industry. I'm just going out on a limb there. Maybe he was the best real estate agent ever. Maybe he's won every award. I don't know. But this woman here is more where I'm at. What sellers often want to know, she said, is if it's going to become an income property or an Airbnb party house. Yeah, and that's true. Like, say you have a bunch of neighbors and you like them and you're moving, do you really want to have the Airbnb at next to your house? Do you really want to have a party, house all day long? And, no. Now, could the buyer lie in their letter? Sure. In one case, she had a seller who chose a buyer whose letter talked about how well equipped the house was for a person with disabilities. The buyer used a wheelchair and the seller had altered the home to accommodate a disabled person. I've really only had it work in favor of the underdog. Is that such a bad thing? 100%. Sometimes we don't always have the best offer. Sometimes somebody else has a better offer, but maybe they're not as motivated. So what do? We write a letter and hope that we can get our foot in the door. Sarah DeLeo, who works in digital media production, was renting in Brooklyn when she bought a home in the Berkshires in July of 2020 as a rural escape for her wife and 4-year-old twins during the height of the pandemic. It was like the beginning of the gold rush, with urban dwellers fleeing small apartments, and the competition was for homes outside the city was steep. So when they found a house they loved, they wrote a letter to the seller talking about the home's elaborate native garden and how much he thought her children would enjoy it. The sellers, it turned out, had raised their own twins in the home. It was a funny coincidence and a little bit of kismet. Now, I don't know what that means. She got the house. While she can't be sure that the letter sealed the deal, she said it was helpful in starting an ongoing relationship with the sellers, who were able to recommend a local babysitter and offer gardening tips. It's been very positive and gratifying. Although she is in a same-sex marriage, Ms. DeLeo said it didn't occur to her to avoid mentioning that in the letter, or that love letters in general might elicit a biased response from sellers. In the wrong hands, this could be used in a negative or discriminatory way, but in an ideal setting, it can be a way to humanize a process that can be a little sterile. I agree 100%. Mrs. Jarathi, I apologize for I don't know how to say her name, wrote a letter to one seller introducing herself, her husband, but the house sold to Jeez. I mean, the way it got set up, okay. My article did a bad job. Of course, there are other more effective ways of making the home buying process less discriminating, starting with appraisal, which often assign lower values to homes owned by Black people. Redfin, which will issue its own educational program for sellers about love letters early next year, will include guidance recommending sellers leave homes on the market for enough time before accepting offers that more buyers have a chance to view them. The company will educate sellers on VA and FHA loans, which are perceived as taking longer to close, leading to discrimination against veterans and first-time home buyers, although Redfin's data shows they can close as reliably and quickly as other loans. The more you keep putting out that FHA loans and VA loans are bad, the worse it's going to get. I can tell you as a seller's agent that it doesn't matter who brings what. If they have a good amount of money coming with them, I don't care. I really don't. And if anybody else does, they're misinformed. Perhaps the best way to ensure equal access to housing, however, would be build more of it so it's not as scarce. We've been grossly underbuilding homes. That's true. But if you're determined to write a love letter, what's the smartest way to proceed? Now, that is a real consideration. Real estate agents agree that the safest approach is to keep the letter focused on the home's attributes rather than revealing a lot of information about your own personal information. We're not saying these letters are per se bad, said Governor Hutchinson, the Assistant General Counsel of the California Real Estate Association of Realtors, which recently, that's the end, which recently issued guidance on the state's 22 protective classes, geez, to agents whose clients want to write letters. Just be a little thoughtful about what you write in the letter. That's what I've got. I don't know if that's the end of the article. So I've represented people of color, if that's the right term. I don't know anymore. I've represented people in same-sex marriages. I mean, on the offer itself, you write, so-and-so is making an offer. And they can figure it out. As soon as they have the name, they can go on Facebook or Twitter. Now you say not everybody has Facebook or Twitter. Okay. I just think it's misplaced. Who are we protecting here? Who are we protecting? No one. No one. If someone wants to be discriminatory in selling their house, you shouldn't want to live there anyway. Like, I think about myself. Say someone says that I'm an evil colonizer, an imperialist, and I can't buy their house when I make an offer. Do you think I still want to buy that person's house? No. Screw them. I'm not going to buy their house. I don't have anything to do with them. Let them sell it to somebody else. I don't care. That's just the way it is. I don't understand. Help me understand. We got a little bit of time left. I want to go over some houses. Let's go here. Let's go down to San Antonio, Texas. Large city. Let's look at the first house, 4.39 million. 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 8,000 square feet, 2-acre lot. Do you remember yesterday, I think it was, we were looking at houses and they were like more than 10,000 square feet. Right here, I don't know if they measure real estate square footage differently, but there's not one house in the top 5 that's above 10,000 square feet. Here. Way down here. Isn't that amazing? So if you're going to live in San Antonio, Texas, you're not going to live in a house that's more than 10,000 square feet for the most part. And everything's going to be fine with it. Everyone's going to be fine with it, I guess. When I'm looking. The only thing I can think of is the only thing I can think of not being from San Antonio, not working in the market is perhaps it's calculated differently than we would count. Maybe they don't count the garage. I don't know. So we got 47 pictures on a $4.4 million. Let's just say it's been on the market 69 days. Let's see on the property history if it's been, yes. So we haven't been able to move this house since before 2019. Let's take a look. Let's not do it that way because that looks terrible. It's got a fountain. It's all about like your preference. Do you want to start off like, what are you buying? Are you going to buy the lot? Are you going to buy the house? You're going to buy the landscaping? Yeah, you're going to buy the landscaping, but let's really find out, what we're buying. In this situation, we're not in the front door and we're 8 pictures in. We're just now in the front door. And so that's where you walk in, and this is the foyer. That's the best picture of the foyer. That should be picture number 2. Is the fireplace really on? I don't know. It's like a bar. And then out there is like a little patio. Nice little office. And it's a kitchen. Now, I would like to see the appliances first. I don't know. This here is a nice picture, but it's not giving me what I'm looking for. But it's hard in this house. You see, all the stuff is hidden, kind of. So I won't criticize that. Even here, it's hard to tell. All the stuff is in here. This gives you a nice view of the ceiling. If it's just a flat ceiling, it's not that interesting. But if you've got some stuff going on, I think that's worth a picture. Going through the stairwell. Billiards room. I'm guessing that's real. I'm guessing. Anything else that stands out about this house? To me, it's not very ornate. I mean, the finishes are, the wall finishes, and they're not, wallpaper, which is good. A lot of dead animals there. I guess that's a wine cellar. I don't know. Did anything make you want to buy that house? Was there anything that evoked a spirit or a passion in the pictures that said, hey, that's the house I want to buy? It did not for me. It did not for me. So this one here is $4 million. It's 6,000 square feet, 4-bedroom and a half bath on a 1.16 acre lot. So this house doesn't look all that great. So let's see what they're talking about. House was built in 1870. It's 41 days on the market. Property history, it was just listed. I mean, there's no, here we go. A rare opportunity to own a historic and signature landmark in the King William Historic District at 107 King William Street, San Antonio, Texas. Known as the Anton Wolf House, the approximately 6,000 three-story structure was built in 1870 in the Italianate style of locally quarried granite limestone block. In use as an office since 1964, the property was fully renovated by the San Antonio Conservation Society in 1975 for use as its headquarters, but now is available for conversion back to residential use. The original floor plan and many historic features remain. Also included is the 1,400 square foot August Stimke barn, relocated to the site and renovated in 1982. There's a previous historically approved design for 2,000 square foot expansion for a possible 9,400 square feet of total improvement square footage. The site totals 1.16 acres of land, is Riverwalk adjacent, and is bounded by the Cesar Chavez Boulevard, St. Mary's Street, King William Street, and Washington Street. The location is the gateway entrance to the King William Historic District, Texas's first designated residential historic district, and is walkable to downtown and all the restaurants and amenities of King William Southtown District. The property is currently zoned O2 Office, HHE, Historic Exceptional Landmark, 304 Overlay. So to me, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but this isn't really a single family home as it sits right now. It's an office. And I think I would prefer to not deal with this house. You know, it's been made an office and it's nice, but I don't really need it. I think I'll just buy something else. So sorry. No. Oh, goodness. So that house is terrible. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you for the spam comment. I really appreciate that. I was wondering, maybe you get more during the afternoon than I would during the morning, but thank you for the spam comment. Please sit on my video for at least an hour and get me some viewing hours. Okay, so let's go and let's go and see this one. This Phyllis Browning company, she seems to have, I assume again she's a woman. They have two of the top 3 listings in the city. 231 days on the market, much too long. On less than an acre lot, 8,700 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. Did we look at the, okay. That's the house. I thought maybe we looked at the backyard. Huh. That's nice. $3.5 million for this, huh? Nice sized bedroom. Nice outdoor space. Okay. Let's see some details here. One of a kind property, nearly an acre of land on a corner lot filled with stately oak trees and mature landscaping on one of San Antonio's prettiest, most desirable streets. Privacy and beautiful vistas can be enjoyed from every angle of this property while still being convenient to all the city offers. Originally built in 1927, the wood quality throughout the home is exceptional. I mean, it sold in 2000, or it sold in 1999, and it's available in 2021. I don't know, $3.5 million, San Antonio. What do you think? What about this one here? This makes me a little bit more excited. $3.5 million, 5 bedroom, 5 bath, a little smaller, 7,924 square feet on an 11-acre lot. 47 days on the market, 4-car garage, 50 pictures. Oh, look at that. Got some nice cars. 11 acres. This house is it's just newer. It's just newer. I don't know why you need two pianos unless you're going to do dueling pianos, but whatever. I mean, you know, am I biased? I guess. I like this house better than the other house for $3.5 million. I mean, that's the bottom line. I like everything about this house. It's got a gym. I mean, seriously, a basketball court. Look at that bathroom and shower and outdoor space. It's just better. That made me a bad person that I. No. It's kind of interesting. You can see the backyards of all these houses, but trees covering it up. Then that's your house. I mean, look at all the houses around there now. Right here, there's not any. But that's your garage. It's a nice house. I like it. I like it. Is that an above ground pool? Yeah. I would like to see what the history was. Removed in 2016. Hasn't sold in a while. Listed in 2021. Be interesting to see what it sells for. Kind of eclectic looking home. We're going to go with one more article. I saw this, wanted to go over it. It says U.S. weighs new rules for all cash real estate deals. So the idea, now I don't know anything about money laundering, okay, but the idea is that people somehow take cash and they put it into a real estate investment, being like a home, and then that's how they launder the money. That's what they say. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't have any insight in this. It says, but I do have something when it says, as part of the U.S. push to fight money laundering and corruption. As soon as you get done with the political corruption, then go after everything else. But start with the political corruption. And it's significant. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, anti-money laundering enforcer, said Monday that it is seeking public comment on its plan to apply more scrutiny to all cash real estate transactions. It would help in preparing a proposed rule that would enhance the transparency of the domestic real estate market on a nationwide basis and protect the U.S. real estate market from exploitation by criminals and corrupt officials. The regulator's current rules require title insurance companies to report all cash residential real estate transactions valued at more than $300,000 in a dozen U.S. large cities or large USC. So the average price of a single-family home in the United States is currently $413,000. And so at $300,000, you have to report it. Now, this to me doesn't seem all that strange. We bought a car in cash, and because of the strange circumstance, we had to use actual cash. Both the credit union sent us a letter that said, we're going to report that you took out a large amount of cash, and the automotive dealership sent a letter that says, we know you used a large amount of cash, and we're reporting to you to the IRS. I don't care, because I wasn't doing anything wrong. It is kind of odd, though, your money scrutinized because you put it in a bank. New regulations affecting the real estate sector could include the imposition of controls and reporting requirements akin to those financial institutions face. Very interesting. They will consider whether to apply anti-money laundering regulations to the real estate industry, as well as whether to require the filing of suspicious activity reports. Banks, money transmitters, and even casinos must file suspicious activity reports if they suspect their businesses are being used for illicit purposes. Good luck. Good luck figuring this out. The real estate sector, in contrast, has relatively few reporting requirements, even though an estimated $2.3 billion was laundered through the U.S. real estate transactions from 2015 to 2020, according to analysis. I don't know how they got that. More than half of those transactions involved so-called politically exposed persons, according to analysis by the think tank Global Financial Integrity. Would like to know the political leanings of this Global Financial Integrity think tank, because that does matter. I mean, who's pushing this legislation? These people are typically government officials, their relatives or close associates. Are you telling me that the government employed people are doing weird things with real estate transactions? That doesn't seem fair. Doesn't seem right. Like, everyone that works for the government is holy. Finn said the new regulations could include commercial real estate transactions, which aren't covered by the current reporting requirements. And in commercial, there is a lot more cash being used. It's harder to get credit. One of the reasons. The regulator added that it wants to minimize the burden imposed on the real estate industry. Well, I mean, really, the focus is on real estate is part of a broader effort to fight corruption that the Biden administration announced Monday. Other planks in the U.S. strategy include proposals to work more closely with foreign counterparts and impose stiffer penalties for corruption and money laundering. Like, I was wondering if they're looking into art. Can you money launder in art? I mean, for the Biden administration to be worried about corruption. Yeah. Okay. Or any administration. I don't want to single out the Biden administration. They're all corrupt. It's terrible. That's where I'm at. I don't want to do any more articles. I think I want to wrap it up. I did get my counter offer back. Doesn't look good. I have to talk to my buyer, see if they're still interested or not. I have no idea though. You know, I got through it today. I don't feel well. Hopefully you gathered something from the broadcast if you watch it later, and I was able to keep the streak going. So, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Dix MP All X, for your spam comment. Nice to have someone watching it. It was good. If you have any questions, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. And that's where I'm at.